The sands that whispered. The desert winds howled across the endless dunes of Egypt like voices from another age. Beneath the burning sun, Dr. Elias Carter stood atop a ridge of sand overlooking the excavation site. For weeks, his team had uncovered strange stone pillars buried beneath the desert. Pillars unlike anything ever found before. They were older than the pyramids, older than history itself. The stones were smooth as glass, yet harder than granite. Strange markings glowed faintly when the moon touched them. No tool on earth could scratch them. "This shouldn't exist," whispered Miriam Hale as she brushed sand from a massive doorway. The doorway stretched nearly 40 feet high, carved with symbols no one could translate. Above the entrance was a single image, a tree engulfed in light. Some believed the tomb belonged to Adam and Eve. Others claimed it was tied to Moses, but it stood far from Mount Nebo. Others say it belonged to Ramses, but historians proved the location was impossible. That night, Elias stood alone. The desert grew silent. Miriam asked, who were these people? And why had history forgotten them? Then from deep below came a sound like distant thunder. The earth itself was opening. A staircase appeared, deep and farther than anyone imagined. They ventured in. The deeper they descended, the stranger things became. They found hidden chambers revealing tools more advanced than modern technology. Metallic instruments untouched by rust. Crystal maps of stars unknown to astronomers. And walls showing giant cities standing before a flood that swallowed the earth. One ancient inscription translated, "We walked with God before the waters came." Torchlights flickered against walls lined with gold and black stone. Massive statues towered overhead, their faces worn smooth by time. The deeper the team traveled, the colder the air became. Then they found the city. An entire civilization rested beneath the sands. Towers rose from underground caverns. Bridges crossed rivers that still flowed beneath the earth. Strange lights shimmered along pathways, though no fire burned. "It's impossible," Miriam breathed. Elias stared at carvings along the walls. The figures wore white robes and carried staffs of light. Some drawings showed them teaching groups of people. Others showed violence, pride, and great machines rising toward heaven. Then came the flood. Wave after wave carved into stone. Cities drowning, mountains breaking. One chamber held a map unlike anything ever discovered. It showed ancient Jerusalem. Roads marked paths where Jesus would one day walk. Narrow streets where the disciples would preach were etched into crystal long before Christ was born. Elias stepped back in disbelief. How could they know? Miriam pointed to another inscription. This one was written in Hebrew. "The Lamb will come. The Word will walk among men." Silence filled the chamber. These people had known not only of the flood, they knew about a Messiah. Enoch walked with God. As days passed, the discoveries grew darker. The civilization had not fallen merely because of a flood. It had fallen because mankind desired power, greater than obedience to God. One hidden library revealed records of machines capable of moving mountains and weapons that split the earth itself. Their knowledge surpassed modern science. One journal, preserved inside a crystal container, spoke of a group called the Watchers. "We were given wisdom to serve heaven, but men sought to become gods. The earth grew violent. Darkness entered the hearts of men." Elias realized this civilization mirrored the modern world, advanced, powerful, and corrupted. Another chamber contained giant doors sealed shut with symbols of warning. Carved across the entrance were the words, "Do not awaken what rebelled before the flood." Some workers demanded the doors be opened. Others fled the site in terror. That night, a violent sandstorm swept across Egypt. Winds screamed across the desert, like voices crying out from the past. Inside the city, the lights suddenly flickered alive. One by one, hall after hall, machines untouched for thousands of years awakened beneath the earth. Then, a voice echoed through the city in an ancient tongue. Miriam's face turned pale as she translated. It says, "Mankind has returned." Fear spread through the team, but Elias could not stop thinking about the map of Jerusalem. So he and Miriam followed the ancient paths deeper into the underground city. They discovered murals unlike anything before. Jesus healing the blind, Jesus carrying the cross, Jesus rising from the tomb, the disciples preaching to crowds, the Great Commission carved into stone. Go into all the world and preach the gospel. Elias fell to his knees. This whole place, it was never about treasure. The ancient civilization had not hidden gold. They had hidden a warning. Every hallway pointed toward one truth. Human knowledge without God leads to destruction. Yet salvation was always God's plan. First, John 4, verse 9 to 10. One final chamber stood at the center of the city. Inside rested no throne, no jewels, no king, only a wooden table with ancient scrolls. On the wall behind it was a single sentence written in dozens of languages. "Your reward is not of the earth. Your reward is in heaven." Miriam opened one of the scrolls carefully. Tears filled her eyes as she read aloud. "The greatest treasure is the soul that returns to God." In that moment, Elias understood why the city had remained hidden for thousands of years. Not to glorify the past, but to awaken the present. The discovery changed the world forever. Scientists who once mocked faith stood speechless before prophecies written thousands of years before Christ. People searched for answers in the ruins. But Elias finally understood the truth. The tombs were never the message. The treasure were never the message. The lost civilization was never the message. God was. One morning before sunrise, Elias stood outside the excavation site as the desert winds moved softly across the sand. Miriam approached quietly. "What happens now?" she asked. Elias looked toward the horizon where sunlight broke over the dunes. "We stop digging for treasures," he said, "and start reaching people." The forgotten civilization had risen from the dust, not to glorify mankind's greatness, but to remind humanity of its need for God. As the sun climbed higher, Elias opened the worn Bible he carried and read the words of Jesus aloud. "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." The desert wind carried the words across the sands of Egypt, and somewhere deep below the earth, the ancient lights finally went dark.